Samia Khan here and Ron Hoon.
Hello, everybody.
Your Friday edition of News Now, Friday, December 18th. I feel like even though the official last day of the year is December 31st, somehow today feels like it.
Really?
President Obama is giving his end of the year address today.
When is that happening, by the way?
It is, I believe, 11:50, I want to say, our time.
All right.
Obama
Meaning
obviously
a quarter to
always late.
one.
But I mean, if there's something about it where it's like it kind of feels like the last day of school before everyone leaves for winter break, except I will still have to work during winter break.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm working all of next week.
Well, okay, that's fine.
Do you know what I mean, though? That feeling in the air. It's
Yes.
like free shipping day when it comes to shopping. Got to get
Right.
those last minute gifts. You have a week left
Right.
before Christmas.
So now you guys, your winters in Fresno were.
You scoot
Where do you
sorry.
want me over here?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you're getting cut off otherwise.
Your winters in Fresno were sort of like this, weren't they? So this super cold
Yes.
snap we're having isn't bugging you too
I
much?
hate it.
Really?
Why do you think I don't live in Fresno?
Well, I don't know.
No, that's not why. But I don't like the cold.
Oh,
You have to understand that having lived in Los Angeles for a decade, I was used to no seasons.
I know.
I was just used to the temperatures fluctuating between 65 and 85 degrees the whole year.
Why can't they get that figured out over in LA?
No, I like it.
No, they need some
I
seasons.
like it. And you know what? Last winter was my first winter here.
Yes.
And last winter tricked me because we did have a couple cold days like this last winter, but then it was suddenly like
was nice.
unseasonably warm,
Right.
and I was into that.
Yeah. Well, we have, it seems to me about every third year, we have a winter that's cold enough that it kills all your trees and all your plants and all that kind of thing. People have these ficus trees. These are gigantic trees, and it just kills them. I mean, you have to like cut them down and prune them back and start with a stump and everything.
Trees are getting murdered.
Trees get murdered around
By
here.
the weather.
SK. So,
How can you support something like that?
I don't know. I know we're going to start with the top 5 in a moment.
Yeah.
But since I haven't had a chance to work with you in a while, I just wanted to tell you one very quick story, which is this.
What's that?
I had a dream about Fresno.
I wish you started that more Martin Luther King-esque.
I have, but in this case, I had, like about a week ago, I think you were gone.
Okay.
I have never dreamt about Fresno, California, I can guarantee you, in my entire life. And somehow I have this dream, and I'm driving down the street, and it turned out the main street, it curves, and you come into the main street, and there's like 4 blocks worth of stores, and then there's a Kmart on the left, just as you leave town and head back out toward the freeway. Now, is that the way Fresno actually is?
There was one Kmart
Yeah.
in town.
Okay.
Growing up, I remember I would go there for ices,
Yeah, sure.
the red ones.
Is it right on the left as you're leaving town?
They shut
That
down.
would freak me out if
They shut
it
down
was.
decades ago.
I'm saying, was it?
The Kmart?
Yeah. You don't remember.
Well, it was kind of near a freeway.
I feel very uncomfortable anyway that I had a dream about Fresno.
Well, it's fitting that you brought up Fresno because I was going to bring up Fresno anyways. I loved the story so much I almost put it in the top 5.
Okay.
But I was like, no, I can't just put it in the top 5 because I'm from Fresno. But since you brought up Fresno today,
So
I
it
feel
would
like
be
it's
number 6.
only right to share the story early, even though it's one of those happy stories and like to save happy stories for the end.
Of course you do.
This was huge news. You could say it was someone's good heart, Christmas spirit, or just
Okay.
being a good person. This family lost $32,000, and
In
apparently,
cash? In cash?
Yeah, in cash. They were supposed to deposit it at the bank,
Okay.
and this waiter or server or someone who works at the Applebee's where they were dining at found it, called police, and the family was reunited with the money. They were panicking because it was the money from their, what was it? I have the link here.
Which, of course, the first thing I say is,
Why carry
who
cash?
carries $32,000 in cash in a big bag?
But their dad, her father had sent it from Mexico because from his business. I don't know.
Okay.
Let me find this. It explains it all in the Fresno Beat.
Okay.
Holiday joy. Fresno waiter returns family's lost $32,000.
That actually is an unbelievable story. That's cool.
So yeah. So basically, her
Looking
father
forward-
owns a restaurant
Okay.
in San Jose.
Okay.
And also the money comes from proceeds from a rental house.
Okay.
It's not from Mexico. Sorry. Now they can go on vacation in Mexico.
To Puerto
because they
Vallarta.
have
Yeah.
their $32,000 back.
Okay. So here's the other
They
part
have
of it.
pictures of the cash.
Okay.
What?
It says the money was lost on.
I just want to show I can't believe they have pictures of the cash. Fresno PD actually released this photo.
Look at that, all spread out. I mean, they put some effort into that photo. They were thinking,
Look at that.
let's make it go social.
Yeah, it's very Instagrammable. I wonder how many likes the Fresno PD got on that one.
I wonder. But anyway, so they went to the bank, and then they were told that there were no safe deposit boxes available for the cash. So they ran some errands and then ran over to Applebee's, which is, I mean, who's not going to do something like that?
Right.
You want to grab a bite? Applebee's is awesome. And they thought it had been left behind in the bank, but when they called, the bank said no. And then they got panicked. And then, about the same time, police get a call from the Applebee's where the server says, hey, you guys, I have found the biggest stash of cash you'd ever not believe. That's amazing.
Yeah, in my hometown of Fresno, as soon as I read Applebee's, I knew exactly which Applebee's they were talking about.
Is that
too.
right?
Yeah, I imagined that it was the Applebee's that I drive by very frequently down, only a few miles from my home.
Is it sort of down by campus, Fresno State? No?
It's north of campus. It's actually on the intersection of Cedar and Herndon. And Cedar and Shaw is where Fresno State is. So it's about 3 miles north of Fresno State.
You guys have a Herndon?
4 miles.
You have a road named Herndon?
Herndon's like the main road. I've lived near Herndon for a really long time.
Well, here's what's crazy about that. We, the guy in Wenatchee, which remember, Samia and I, our very first connection is that our two airports are intertwined forever because in Wenatchee, my hometown, it's EAT, E-A-T, and what is Fresno's?
F-A-T. So when
fat.
you eat...
You eat, you get fat. So eat fat are our two airports. And the airport was named after a guy named Herndon and a guy named Pangborn. And you have a road named Herndon that sort of is probably not too far from your airport.
No, it's actually very far from the airport. Incredibly far from our airport.
So much
It's
for
like
that
North
story.
Fresno.
Right,
North Fresno and North Clovis.
Anyway, all right, so the House passes a spending bill.
Yes, so let's get back to our headlines now. So the
Okay.
House passes the spending bill. This was breaking news. We were getting AP alerts this morning just before 8 a.m. our time. They narrowly passed it. I believe it was 116 and 113.
Yeah.
And we got some video of the vote. And I know that the Senate right now, oh my gosh, they're speaking right now because the Senate was voting on it.
Oh, gosh.
Should we listen
We better
in?
listen for a sec.
On education, on transportation, and so many issues. Just like we saw again just a few minutes ago, with passage of a significant cybersecurity measure, long overdue improvements to the visa waiver program, tax relief for families and small businesses, and other important matters. I thank the chairman of the Finance Committee the other day for his impressive work on the tax side of that legislation. Senator Hatch has been an invaluable ally working those issues. Passage of a visa waiver reform and cybersecurity legislation are both notable accomplishments for our country, and neither would have been possible without the continued hard work of the Chairman of Homeland Security, Ron Johnson. I'd like to express sincere gratitude to the Chairman of Intelligence, Richard Burr, for his work on cybersecurity, too. I know there are many others to thank, the Chairman of the Appropriations Committee and the leadership and members of all the committees who worked many long hours recently in particular. So I apologize to those I haven't been able to mention, but I want to thank them and to say simply this. I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and Happy Holidays to everyone. See you in 2016. Rest up, because we've still got a lot of work to do for the American people.
Senator from Iowa.
I thank my colleagues for their commendation to the 150th anniversary of the University of Iowa College of Law. This makes it the first law school west of the Mississippi to reach that milestone. In the past 150 years, the College of Law has served the people of Iowa, the nation, and the world. And I'm pleased, along with my colleague, Senator Ernst, that resolution congratulates the College of Law on its accomplishments. I've been honored to attend some of the events celebrating Iowa law this past year, and the law school should be proud of its vast history of achievements. It's the oldest law school west of the Mississippi River and has produced generations of attorneys that have been dedicated to improving and enhancing the practice of law in Iowa and throughout the nation. Currently, Iowa law has over 10,000 living alumni that practice in Iowa and around the world. Iowa was the first state to admit a woman to the practice of law. Iowa law followed this tradition when in 1873 it graduated what is believed to be the first female law student in the United States, Mary Hickey. Iowa's law second female law student, Mary Haddock, was the first woman admitted to the practice of law before the district and circuit courts of the United States. Iowa law was one of the first law schools to grant a degree to an African American student when Alexander Clark Jr. graduated in 1879, decades before other law schools allowed the enrollment of non-white students. Iowa law has always been at the forefront of the legal field, particularly when it comes to diversity. Iowa law has consistently ranked as one of the top 10 public law schools in the country and is currently ranked the 22nd best law school in the nation. Throughout the years, Iowa law has maintained its commitment to the legal community and encourages students to participate in a variety of programs that better Iowa. For example, Iowa law has recently partnered with the Iowa State Bar Association to start a program that trains and recruits law students to work in rural and small town practices, providing better access to legal services in these communities. Iowa law offers several clinic programs that focus on helping the citizens of Iowa and has several programs to encourage students to provide pro bono legal services. So, for the past 150 years, Iowa law has produced lawyers that embody the model of the state of Iowa, which is, quote, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain, end of quote. So I congratulate the Iowa College of Law on its many achievements, and I'm grateful for its continued dedication and commitment to the state of Iowa. I yield the floor.
Mr. President.
Senator from Utah.
Mr. President, now that the votes are concluded and we have successfully passed our legislation granting tax relief to millions of Americans.
All right, guys, we are back to join you. Guess what? Ale in the chat room has a question for you.
Who?
Ale.
Okay.
Ron.
Hi, Ale.
The discount rate will also increase. This means, oops. Ron, the discount rate will also increase. This means that banks pay more interest to borrow money. Will banks throw this at us by increasing their own rates too?
Okay, so the discount yeah, well, it's already happened. I mean, we reported the very next morning after the Federal Reserve, which I put up this picture. I thought it was kind of moody. I thought it would get more.
Keep getting cut off by the top
Hello,
five
everybody.
unless you get very close to this corner.
I thought it would get more likes. Look at, I just took a picture of the Federal Reserve. So we're a visual business. So let me just show you this picture on Instagram of the actual Federal Reserve building. And I said, since they're in the news, I took this slightly ominous look. Doesn't that look slightly ominous? Do you want to take it over here? Is that better? Since we're talking about it, let's show it.
It's very nice.
That's the Federal Reserve. It's not spooky looking then to you. I was trying to go for a little more ominous, but no.
Look, it's very pretty.
Oh, fine.
It's just a good picture.
Okay, well, thank you. Come follow me on Instagram, you guys. So the deal is that they did it on Wednesday, and by Thursday morning, we were reporting that they had several of the banks had already increased their prime lending rate. Boom, just that fast. So the thing that's aggravating and frustrating for the average Joe is twofold. You now are going to pay more on your home equity loans. If you have a mortgage, it's locked in. You don't have to worry about it. But if you're shopping for a mortgage, those rates are going to be ticking up. And a quarter of a point on a mortgage, say you're buying a $200,000 house, quarter of a point is going to be, noticeable. I mean, it takes more out of. I would say a quarter of a point is maybe another $25 a month type of a thing that you would
off
notice.
of a home loan for
Yeah,
sure.
maybe even more, maybe 35 or 40 bucks a month. So if they keep jacking these rates up over the course of the next year, and say we're a full percentage point higher, I think it's going to really slow things down. So why? What is the value in slowing things down? The only value would be twofold: that you're nipping inflation in the bud. There is no inflation. The price of gas, oil keeps dropping. The price at the gas pump. You saw where I was talking about how I paid $1.03 a gallon yesterday.
What?
It was with the fries discount, with the grocery store discount.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but the gas was low, and so anyway.
The lowest I've seen 173 around already.
I got a guy on Facebook today who said he just saw this morning $1.49
Where?
in Casa Grande.
Well,
That's
I'm
right
not
up the
gonna
road.
drive to Casa Grande
No, I
for
know,
the
but if
gas.
it's there, it's on its way. Tucson gets the cheap gas because their stuff comes out of the pipeline from Texas. We get screwed around
Look.
because it comes out of the pipeline from Cali.
All I'm gonna say is that no one here in Phoenix is really getting screwed around too much because it's always $1 more in California.
I know.
So this is still very low gas prices.
Okay, but point being, there really is no inflation. When I go to the grocery store, I'm paying the same for my apples.
103. So how many fries fuel points did you have? You knocked down like 70 cents, 60
It was
cents?
80 cents.
So that means you spent $800 at fries last month?
I think it was like over 2 months.
No, it's 1 month.
No, yeah,
usually.
it goes over. It doesn't all go away in 1 month, in the same month. No, you can roll it over from the month before.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. Because they were saying, in fact, I think they were saying, well, anyway. So, point being that I'm paying the same for my Ritz crackers, $2.50. I'm paying the same for my apples when I go buy my apple. The cost of stuff is not going up except for rent. Rent is going up. Airplane tickets should be coming down, and in some cases they actually are.
Except when you travel for the holidays.
Right. But so for the most part, inflation is not going up, so they don't have to raise it to nip inflation in the bud because it's not happening. The other thing would be that they just want to overall help savers, because the whole concept is people give their money to the bank, they go in, they deposit it all day long, and then the bank says, hey, thanks for your money, here's 2% interest or 3% interest so that you can earn a little bit on it. And then they say, well, we're paying Samia 3% because she brings all her money here to the bank. And so we'll pay her 3%, and then we'll turn around and we'll charge Ron for his mortgage now 6% instead of, where are we right now, about 3.5% to 4%? We'll charge Ron 6% because we had to pay Samia 3% and we got to make some money on the deal.
Sorry about that.
I am not very happy about it, Samia.
It's okay. It'll still be fun.
So there are really only two reasons for doing it. One would be to help savers out, which is primarily older people, right? Older folks are scared of, not everybody, but some are a little frightened of the stock market, not sure about it, would rather just put their money in the bank and earn 2%. But for younger people who are not in a huge hurry to save a bunch of money when they're your age, for example, they're thinking about buying a car, buying a brand new car, starting in your career, buying a brand new house, all those kinds of things. And it just slows down that part of the
So are you
economy.
saying it was very smart of me to buy my new car last month?
Yes, that was the bottom line of my whole story.
Okay, just making sure.
But, I mean-
I made my first car payment today.
I want you to buy a house or a condo. They're building 200 condos walkable from the studio. You know that, right? Just on the other side of, about 4 blocks from here on the other side of Van Buren. Are you aware of that?
I did not know that.
There is a huge construction project, and they're building 220 condos right downtown. And then there's another one up on Central, at about this Central and Roosevelt. That would also be walkable. It's up by the Irish Cultural
It's
Center.
called to walk.
Yeah, but most of the year it's too hot to walk.
So what's the point in having anything that's walkable? It's either too cold to walk or
Yeah.
too hot to walk. And you know when it's just moderately,
Right.
it's mild, then it's raining. It's the monsoon.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying, there's not really any walkable weather.
Well, that's why you couldn't walk from 14 blocks away, but you could sure walk from 2 minutes from here. Well, maybe 4 minutes from here. It's very close. But anyway, I would rather have you be buying something, a house. I don't care if you have to drive here. That's fine. You already drive. But you're throwing your rent money away every month when you write that rent check. It's not doing you anything except just getting you a place. If you're buying a house or a condo, I'll give you a good example. So I've talked about how my daughter lives in downtown Salt Lake City. And we just had that story yesterday that's now the #1 city in America for singles. Did you see that?
Really?
I know, you would think it's more of a traditional type town, but
What was it? Singles looking to get married?
No, I think it was just sort of overall life for singles. I'll have to look more into it. But so she lives right in downtown. It's very hoppin'. It's very chic and hip and urban and all that kind of stuff. And they have their own version of a light rail, just like we do too here. But she says, Dad, I'm going to go ahead and buy a condo. I love living downtown. I'm tired of throwing my rent money away. And so she buys a condo for, I don't know, it seemed kind of reasonable. I want to say about $160. And over the last 3 years or so, it's gone up in value to about, I think she said they're now selling for, not a lot more, but like $179. No, hold on. I think she paid $150 for it, and now they're selling for in the upper 170s. So not a huge difference, but she's also been paying the mortgage. Every month you pay your mortgage down. And so she went from $149 to now she owes about $140,000. And now, but they're selling for almost $180,000. That's $40,000 that you, SK.
Oh, I know all
would
about the
make.
housing. I know.
So
the
why
housing
are
market.
why are you throwing your money away on rent? And this is what I'm doing is taking one question from one person in our chat list and actually trying to make it relatable to everybody.
I get what you're saying.
To buy now. Because
But then
interest
you are
rates are
committing
still
to
low.
that location.
Because a year from now, the interest rates will be higher, and it's going to be that much more tough for you to buy a place.
I get
a
what you're
condo.
saying.
Right.
But then you're committing to that location.
You can sell when the time comes. You just sell. There you go.
Okay.
And you probably make some money.
Yeah.
Okay. But this is the problem. I don't know why. Tell me why not all millennials, but a lot of millennials would rather spend $1,000 a month on rent than $1,000 a month on,
Or more than 1,000 on rent.
yeah, or more than 1,000 than on just buying a place and then selling it when the time comes. Say your
I did
dream
think about it
job. Say your
last
dream
year.
job comes in as an offer. Like, what would your dream job be? If you were in made the chair of the new social media department at USC.
No.
And they're like
that's definitely
SK.
not my dream job.
But you're an SC girl.
I love USC.
And you love social media.
I love USC, but I don't know if I would want to
Be there every day? Okay.
No, I mean, I think that if I was working in Los Angeles, then I would definitely want to be an adjunct professor. But other than
adjunct. Okay, fine.
Anyways. That's just a side gig.
So why are so many millennials afraid to buy a house or a condo?
Commitment. They don't like the idea
Why?
of a loan. They'd rather have the money in the bank to go on random excursions, travel, things like that.
But what if the monthly cost was less? That's the
I also
other part of
think
the
that
story.
maybe it's because most millennials were coming of age during the housing crisis of the 2000s, and perhaps that instilled fear a decade ago.
Yeah, but that's a long time ago.
I'm just saying.
I mean, the other part of
fears you build in those crucial adolescent years are the fears you take with you into adulthood.
I guess
until
so.
you pay to see a therapist.
I guess, yeah. I guess maybe you're right about that. Maybe it's so embedded in your head that those of us who've already bought and sold a couple of houses over the course of the years are like, hey, I actually wish I would have bought a house when it was at the bottom.
Oh, I'm a big fan of real estate. I thought about it last year when I came in, but I just didn't know.
Yeah, well. And you seem like somebody who would kind of like the downtown. Every day there's something new coming into downtown, you know?
I am
we have a lot of good restaurants
the girl
downtown.
that ends up living in the suburbs because she likes her access to Costco and Target.
Okay. Well,
Even
anyway.
in Los Angeles, I lived in like Sherman Oaks.
Oh my gosh, that's a drive.
Not really.
On the 101?
It's
That's like the
10
worst
minutes.
freeway in the West.
It was like 10 minutes everywhere. 10, 20 minutes. I mean, the thing is, if you live in the center
Oh,
of
if
LA
you work
too,
in the
then
valley.
you're not near.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I worked in Universal City. It took me
Okay.
like 5 minutes to get to work.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, anyway.
All that aside.
So, the House passes a spending bill, and now here's my concern about this. So, anyway, thanks for the was that
Question,
Abe? Was that Abe?
Ale.
So, Ale, thanks for the question. Now, let's transition to point number 1 on our list here,
Well, I do know that Apple Snapple wants to talk about point number 2.
which is
Mother Teresa to become a saint.
yes, yeah. Let's get into that. But this segues so well into
House
the
passes-
spending
yeah,
bill
that's true.
because so again, I think the most important thing we can do when we're covering news is figure out how it relates to you.
Mm-hmm.
So this spending bill thing that got passed includes a provision that takes out a law that was put in place after the oil embargo back in the 1970s when we all had gas lines. I know you weren't around, but I'm sure you heard the stories and have seen the pictures. It was ridiculous. You had to sit camped waiting in line sometimes for 30 minutes, 45 minutes
What?
just to fill up your gas tank.
What year was this?
In 1973. You could wiki it. Just say oil embargo 1973. In fact, the pictures that would pop up, I'm sure, would blow your mind.
I've never heard about this
No.
in my life.
Really?
Yep.
There was a law that was passed.
Did not know about this.
I'm going to say
my dad
oil.
was in Canada I think.
Well, in Canada
Or they
was
were
also.
just coming to the United States.
Okay, here we go. Oil embargo 1973. See, it immediately pops up. Everybody's going to know what it is. And look at some of the pictures. Look at this picture right here. I think you can use that, right?
Yeah.
Off of
give me a
Google.
second.
People lined up. Of course, the cars were so old-fashioned. They're lined up all the way around the block, double file, and then they do like a loop and come in. Can you see the direction the cars are headed? So literally, you were dealing with situations like that where if you even saw a gas station that was open, you changed your plans for the day and you immediately pulled in.
That's
And then you
insane.
waited in a line like that. Now, there was a law that was put into effect so to protect our country from that ever happening again. And it said the oil that we drill here in the U.S. and the gas that we turn that into, it all stays here in the United States.
Yeah, it should be ours.
It should be ours. It is our raw material. You get it here, you refine it here, so that means refinery jobs, and then you truck it here, and so that means jobs for truckers. Or you could take the opposite approach and say, hey, we the oil companies want to make as much money as we can, and we actually think we can make more money no longer selling it to our local customers, the American public. We think we can make more money if we send it to China. Well, that's never been allowed for the last 40 years. Guess what?
What?
As part of the spending bill, now it's going to be allowed. Now, how is that good for America? It's you could look at it and say, well, it's free enterprise. It's better for free enterprise. That's fine. I'm up for free enterprise on most things, on pretty much everything. But
you've
our
lived
economy
through this.
comes
You've
to
lived through
our economy
this.
comes to a complete stop if the oil's not around. And we got it. And the oil companies have been pushing people in Congress for years to change that law.
Can I just point out Rachel's comment? Costco is like that every day, Hooner. Those lines around the pump. That's true. Unless you get to Costco right when the pump's open. I think
Yeah.
it's like 7 a.m. or 6 a.m.
Yeah. Look at
You're
Dee
pretty
just
right.
rocking. I remember getting up at 3 a.m. to try to find gas before work
Wow.
at noon. It was that crazy.
Wow.
So Dontavia says, we are not joking. The people that just passed this bill are traitors to America. Well, yeah, I mean, you could feel that strongly. I don't think they're traitors, but I just think they're beholden to the oil companies. Now, this gets us to Donald Trump. Why do people like Donald Trump?
Because he wants to make America great again.
Yes, and he's the most blunt, non-PC guy you've ever run into. And he really isn't beholden to the oil company, or like there's a story yesterday on Marco Rubio and his, connections to the sugar industry and subsidies they get from the government. And You know, is he too pro sugar or whatever?
Pro sugar?
Yeah. But anyway.
This is like a diabetes movement.
Yeah, I know.
What?
But point being, most politicians are going to do this at the bidding of the oil company, and it stinks. Well, I have no idea where Donald Trump comes down on this, but his selling point is, I'm not taking money from anybody. He pulls up in his 757 at the Mesa Airport, you know. So people like the fact that they know what's going on. People are way smarter than the politicians give them credit for. And they know what's going on. They know these guys, it's a self-fulfilling thing where they got to be able to get reelected. So they take money from all the big interests, and there's plenty of money coming out of the oil industry. And I don't know how many people have taken donations from the big oil companies, but it's ridiculous. And if it leads to a lot of our oil and a lot of our gas 5 years from now not being here so they can make an extra $10 a barrel selling it to China, then people are going to demand Congress do something. And you know what? This is passing on a Friday. And next week is the holidays.
The next two. I mean, this is pretty, like I said, today's like the end of the school year.
People aren't even aware of it.
The semester.
I felt like I needed to bring it to you guys, but most people are not even aware that it's in there. And it's not going to be a problem for a while. But someday down the line, whether it's 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it will be a problem. So there's your House spending bill. Now, they did put some good things in there.
Elaborate.
They re-upped the funds for the families of 9/11 responders.
Which is a very honorable cause.
Correct. And not just the families, it's really more focused on the health issues that people who were first responders have been dealing with ever since.
So what Jon Stewart was pushing for over and over.
Got passed.
Along with a number of
Correct.
New York officials.
Right. Got passed.
That's
and actually,
news.
I think that it was good that they beat the drum, but I don't think in the end, people still, their hearts still ache for the victims of 9/11 and for the first responders who are dealing with health issues.
Well, right.
And I don't think eventually it was going to get figured out.
Yeah, it's not fair that you're suffering health issues because you tried to save people and do the right thing.
Correct. So all in all, I mean, great. I'm glad the government got more money to stick around, to run all these programs for the next year. But they put some things in there that with this oil business, just remember you heard it here first from Hooner and SK time. Or as Samia said today as she's writing up her notes, Ronald and SK.
Did it say Ronald and SK or Ronald and Samia? I probably said SK. I never write my full name.
I saw Ronald.
Yeah.
What?
Ronald and SK.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, there's the House spending bill. The other thing is they basically take it off the table to get us all the way through the election cycle of next year. Remember we talked about that once. That one way or another they were going to figure out how to get that done, so it wasn't some huge issue because it always hurts the Republicans. So they did have that. At least I'm sure Paul Ryan had it in the back of his mind, and some others too. So it's done, and it's 1.1 trillion. So that's.
So with the House passing the spending bill, then it goes to the Senate, then it goes to the President.
Correct. House already passed it. The reason we were popping up those Senate pictures a minute ago is the Senate's voting on it right now. Mm-hmm. It's unusual for them to be working on a Friday. They almost never do. But now they get to have their
Christmas
at least 2-week vacation, if not 3 weeks. I don't know. They get a lot of vacation time.
Not a bad job. Not a bad gig being a U.S. representative or senator.
So, you got plenty of topics. Yeah, see, I knew that was coming. Did you hear that?
What?
As soon as you got plenty of topics, and I hear, all right, guys, let's go. I got this meeting I got to go to.
It's okay.
But it is cool that Mother
Teresa
is becoming a saint.
I know. Her canonization, I think they're talking about September. Mm-hmm. That's the rumor on the internet.
Yeah. Well, there's 1 billion Catholics. That's a lot of people.
Do you remember our extensive Pope coverage here when he was in the United States? I mean, News Now, FNN turned into PNN, Pope News Now.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're TNN, Trump News Now.
Yeah.
It depends on what's, the thing to talk about.
Yep. Okay, so I think Aile's going, oh, I hope you feel better, Samia. I love you, says
thanks.
Ale. Totally taking care
I
of
am
you.
definitely at the 1 week point of this sickness. I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Rachel says, no meetings, sad panda, no meetings for Hooner. But I have to. I mean, this schedule, people are like, really? You get up at 3 in the morning and you go on at 4:30 and you're on till 10, and then we have so much of a social media commitment that we're supposed to be doing now.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
see that.
gosh.
You guys keep talking about all your social media on the morning show now.
I know we do a lot of, and so now we run polls on our Twitter pages. I love Instagram; it's my favorite. I'm trying to put at least one pic, if not a couple.
Telling you,
every
get
day.
into Snapchat. I don't know why.
Because it's too much.
You guys aren't
I
into
haven't
Snapchat.
Periscope.
Snapchat is the #1 social media network right now. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, anyways, okay. So nice hanging out with you.
Good time.
You do actually feel a little better, don't
I mean,
you? Now?
I'm much better now than I was Wednesday.
Yeah.
Much better now than I was yesterday.
Okay.
Nowhere near as bad as I was last week,
Yeah.
which none of them saw because I chose to go home instead of go on air.
Yeah.
So on
Good that you did.
On that note, I am going to play a story about the spending bill from
Oh.
Fox National
Good.
because I have it.
Like it.
Congress budget battle. All right.
Bye.
Bye, Ronald.
Bye, everybody.